Over 7 million different animals inhabit our planet.
To find out why the hyena, the female hyena, is a superhero.
What can they teach us?
But it showed me a couple things. Is these creatures are not vicious, bloodthirsty carnivores.
Many species are in crisis and need your help. Join the movement at allcreaturespod.com.
Welcome to the All Creatures Podcast. Angie, I could listen to that laugh all day long.
I know, it's amazing, Chris.
Did you ever get to hear that at the zoo in the morning, like when you were walking around?
Yes. On a lucky morning, I would. The zoo is always filled with beautiful sounds early in the morning, and sometimes in the evening. Once in a while, I would get to hear that, but man, I guess I had forgotten. I've forgotten what a good hyena laugh sounds like.
Yeah, and if for people that don't work at zoos or you're planning on going to the zoo, try to get there as early as you can in the morning, because that's when the animals are really active and noisy. Yes. Yeah, there's a lot of feeding times going on, and and depending on the season too, it's usually when it's a little cooler out and the animals are moving around. And a lot of them like to take siesta. I mean, who doesn't like to take a siesta in the middle of the afternoon? So, in the afternoon, they're not going to be as busy. And then sometimes in the evening, things can pick up too. But a lot of times, the zoo, depending on if the zoo has late hours or not, it might be closed. So Right. They're noisy. Spotted hyenas today. So
I know. Chris, I'm going to almost go out on a limb and say Spotted Hyenas Part 1.
Yeah, I know. I think you're right.
These guys are fantastic. I can't believe we waited this long to cover the species.
It's hard. You and I sit here and debate every day. Okay, what are we covering next? We have like 5-10 species planned, and it's so hard to get to them all. But then once you start researching it, it just blows you away.
I know. Well, and I think, gosh darn it, I think the hyena is, whether it's being portrayed in a movie or just in fiction, it always is kind of either the left out or maybe like the not his favorite animal, right? When you think of Africa and the big five, it's sometimes not always right in the front of your mind, and that's even for me. I mean, now it's up there. Now it's going to be one of my favorites after studying all the physiology and the behavior. Oh my goodness! Please stay tuned.
Oh yeah, they are incredible creatures. You just think of the movie The Lion King. They're the bad guys, right?
Yes. Yeah. Trust me, especially for any of my lady listeners out there today, if you stick with me through this whole podcast, you are going to find out why the hyena, the female hyena, is a superhero.
She is.
I don't throw that around lightly. She is my new superhero for several different behaviors and physiological attributes that she has. But so stay tuned.
Right.
It might get a little PG-13. But
a
tuned.
little bit. But I mean, just compare it to Naked Mole Rats we just covered, and how you have this queen. It's good to be the queen, right? Kind of.
It is good to be the
fat
queen
in the burrows and just like whatever. Total opposite. Don't you think? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's like the total opposite of, having an easy life versus the female matriarch.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
She's got a tough gig, but she is tough. That's why I love her.
Oh, brutally tough. Yeah.
Yes.
Brutally tough.
And so we have to give this week a shout out to Corbin Maxey, because he is probably the one that put this species more at our forefront.
Right.
It skipped probably a couple weeks or months ahead.
Yeah.
Because
on our
he
list.
requested it. So hopefully we'll do the hyena justice for all of our fans out there. And for those of you that aren't as familiar with a hyena, I think you're going to learn a lot today.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And just a couple of reminders for us, we always say this at the end, but just up front, Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, now Instagram. And then
I know Chris is getting with all the millennials.
I know.
He got us an Instagram account.
I love Instagram.
I don't even know how to work it. I'm like, what? What do you do?
You need to. You need to. But it's like I just sit there. I used to always be on Facebook. No, it's Instagram now. It's an awesome. Now I see why it's such a popular platform. Like the pictures on there, you just start going to all these animal groups, and it's just they're gorgeous. So get it. I get it. But trust me, it's well worth it. And then if you visit us on Patreon, we say this at the end too, but again, it's an incredible platform that's getting popular. It's helping artists, performers, and us scientists that are unemployed looking for work, in what we do. So, check us out. Angie, I'm going to open up today with a tribute, and I'm going to keep it really, I'm going to do my best not to have any tears shed. And I know with the blue whales, talking to the blue whales, I almost came to tears. But this was just really important to me because researching this week hyenas, it brought up a memory of my late brother. And my late brother, his name is Sean Mortensen. You can Google his name, Shawn. And a lot of his famous, iconic images, really from the 90s is when he was really big, come up of a lot of rap artists and celebrities and stuff. So he was I always say semi-famous photographer, has taken some incredible images in his lifetime, and he passed away in 2009. So we're coming up in a year. In a year, it'll be 10 years since he passed. But a couple years before he passed away, he always he traveled the world like crazy. Mongolia, like of all places, Mongolia, he went. And he went to Ethiopia. It was just something that he had to do. So while he's there, he sends me this picture. He knows I love animals, and I was a professor. I was at Clemson at the time. And he sent me this picture of him feeding a hyena. And he's sitting on the ground. I'm going to put this on the show notes. So he's sitting on the ground with a stick in his mouth with a piece of chicken. And literally the hyena is about 10 inches from his face, comes up and eats the chicken. And I just about died. And I was like, Sean, what are you doing? And he's like, oh, you know me, Mr. No Fear and all this stuff. And he had no fear. I was just like, oh my God, I thought the hyena was going to rip his face off. It's nuts.
that's not just no fear. That's crazy.
Insane.
Yeah,
Insane.
That's not what you want to do.
No. So I bring this up because there is a point. It's not just a tribute to my brother, but there was a point to the story. So apparently these locals in Ethiopia do this every night. They go out and they feed these hyenas almost by hand, meat at the end of a stick. So even in the IUCN, so if you go, the IUCN, again, wonderful organization.
Yeah, that's the International Union of Conservation of Nature.
Right. Like, even last week, Angie highlighted the small mammal group. They are amazing. So even them, in their description of hyenas, talk about this. And what it is the locals believe that going out and feeding hyenas by hand leads these animals to taking away bad spirits. And they also believe that feeding them will cure any ailments they might have. So I don't recommend this to people. Just go out and start feeding hyenas by hand. I don't do that. But obviously these hyenas are habituated to this behavior with people, and they can do this. But what it also showed...
Was your brother with the locals then when he...
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I was going to say, I just double checking.
I don't think he would have came back if he was just out in the savannah going, throwing chicken at the wild animals. But it showed me a couple things. Is these creatures are not vicious, bloodthirsty carnivores that they're just, as they're depicted in movies and things.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
that.
They often get the bad guy rap, and
yeah.
I think that there's many examples of which we're going to go through. This is just one of the first ones today of why that is 100% not true.
Yeah, they're not.
Yeah, they're tough, but they're...
Yes, very, very, very tough. But they're not just going to come out and attack you. And just the final thing is, after he passed, my brother just did a big thing for Nike, and so they put up this big billboard. I'm going to put it on the show notes again, of him feeding the hyena in Hollywood. So you go down, I think it was Hollywood Boulevard, and there's this huge billboard with my brother feeding a hyena at the end of a stick. So that was really cool.
I think he would love that. Yeah, I think that would be a good tribute to him.
Yeah, he was an amazing man. So you're also going to talk about, when we get to repro, the myth about them being hermaphrodites. Is that right?
Sure, definitely. Yes. Yeah. Stick with us and you're going to learn a lot about their reproduction and why sometimes people often think just by looking at the female why she might be a hermaphrodite or that they are. So we're going to clear that up there. Definitely not hermaphrodites, and you'll learn a lot about their anatomy and once again why they are superheroes and
they're amazing.
And then of course why some of the brilliant minds and researchers that are studying these guys trying to figure out why the spotted hyena is so anatomically different than most large carnivores.
And just talking about what the spotted hyena looks like, and we'll cover some of the other species of hyena, but these ones are they're just so unique looking. I just love them. I love them.
Oh, yeah. I mean, well, first and foremost, what blew my mind diving into the research is that they are the second largest carnivore in Africa. Of course, there's a lion, the king of the lion. But other than that, then the spotted hyena is next in size. And I don't know. I guess I assumed it would be leopard or cheetah maybe or something, but it is the full-grown adult spotted hyena. And their body stance is very unique in that the forelegs, like the front legs of the hyena, are significantly longer and more massively built than the hind legs. And it gives them this profile of like a sloping appearance or like almost like they're walking uphill. So I think that might too, and maybe be some of the reason why they always get like the bad guy rap in people's minds is they don't look linear in what we're used to seeing. But the spotted hyena is going to be like sandy in color, so like a yellow, brownish gray coat with black or dark brown spots over most of their body, and the fur is going to vary with age and as far as the spots. Sometimes some have more spots the older they get. It just depends. But it's going to be very woolly and kind of shaggy-ish. And the spotted hyena is basically widely distributed in Africa, south of the Sahara. And the IUCN declares them as least concerned. However, their population has been on a steady decline. And researchers estimate there's probably about 47,000, but these numbers once again are their best guess, which is seems a lot, but it's really not considering this is this is all of sub-Saharan, so a large majority of Africa.
Yeah. It's like a whole continent. Yeah. Like the whole continent of Africa. There's 47,000. I mean, how many students at the universities? I mean, there's 47,000 at least.
That's undergrad. That's undergrad at UF. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, and that's one of how many hundreds of universities? So you're talking about the whole population of a species.
Yeah.
On a continent. So yeah,
exactly.
That's pretty small,
I think the biggest thing too is that their population has been decreasing, and their generation intervals, which we'll get into in a little bit, is a little bit longer than other carnivores. So yeah, no, it's definitely to be concerned. And once again too, because they kind of get this bad guy rap or sometimes conflict with the locals. Researchers are worried about their sustainability. That's for sure.
Yeah, I would imagine. I mean, it's just all the species in Africa, are having a tough time. Now, the spotted hyena, they look like dogs. And you would think, maybe they were some sort of canid, but they're actually not. They're more like cats.
Chris, that totally blew my mind too.
I know.
I'm not the evolution buff like you, but I had to dive into it a little bit because I was just like, what? That's it. What?
See, it's interesting. It's good stuff.
It is. It is good stuff. No. Yeah. You're starting to change me a little bit. Get me a little more. I don't think I would be listening to like the history podcasts and the evolution podcast. Yeah. I'm not. You haven't changed me that much, but it definitely has percolated my interest a little bit. And that I just would not have. If you would have done that in a quiz show for me, I would not have guessed that at all.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I would have got it wrong. So they belong to the suborder Feliformia. Now, the big order is Carnivora. So that's all the carnivores, right? But they're the suborder Feliformia. So these are the cat-like carnivores. So all your cats, leopards, lions, all that stuff. The hyenas, the mongoose, which I was like, wow, okay. I didn't realize it belonged to that one. And then civets, which is one we never really think about, too.
Sure. Yeah, we'll have to do the civet.
So-
My husband
God.
Yeah, my
Yeah.
husband used to work with them, so pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, I know. It's like, all these animals are so amazing. So, and then if you look at the dogs or suborder Caniformia, so just for interest, dogs, bears, pinnipeds,
Uh-huh.
so the
Yes.
seals and stuff.
No, and that's actually a pinniped's on our bucket list, Chris.
Yes, yeah.
I know we should talk shop at a different time, but
Yeah,
in case
I know.
I
I know.
forget. Yes, definitely.
Like I said, we would do this every day if we could. And then our favorites, or one of my favorite suborders, the mustelids. I mean, come on.
I know.
The honey badger, the
Yes.
black-footed ferret.
Yes.
The black-footed ferret, tap, 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 prairie dog, roll over, and then you got to listen to that episode. Like, my God, that's the best story.
Yes. If you haven't been with us from the beginning, you definitely you have to check out the honey badger and black-footed ferret. There's some, we've covered some.
Mustelids are amazing.
Yeah.
They're amazing. And so just crazy. Now, there are 4 species of hyena, right? So
Yes. There are 4 species in the hyena family. It's going to be the spotted hyena, which of course that's what we're focusing on today. That's probably what people are most familiar with,
Right.
and that's the one that's obviously found throughout most of Africa. There's a striped hyena, which is the smallest of all of the hyenas. And they're going to be gray, straw-colored with a black muzzle and black stripes on their heads. They, to me, look probably the most like a dog because whenever we do podcasts like this, I always line up the pictures of the species or subspecies next to each other so I can really kind of understand the differences in their phenotypes. And yeah, this guy, he's cute, he's stocky, and they're going to be distributed pretty much like in North and East Africa, in the Middle East, Central Asia, Indian subcontinent. They basically were outcompeted by the spotted in Africa, so they've been relegated to some of these other habitats.
But that's crazy. They go all the way to India.
Right,
Wow.
yeah.
I didn't know that. Yeah, like, wow.
Yeah, well, and and the other thing that's kind of crazy about them is that they're near threatened. There's less than 10,000, and their population is steadily decreasing.
Right.
And researchers think they might have even expanded into Nepal, just probably to have more room to do their thing, to hunt and to feed themselves. So, yeah, so that's a striped. And then there's this guy I was not familiar with at all as well. It's the brown hyena. Mm-hmm. And for me, I think it's one of my favorites. If you haven't seen it, you got to Google a picture, or maybe Chris can put it on the show notes of the brown.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Oh, it's so charming. It's got longer. Well, it's brown, hence the name, right? But it's really distinguished from the other species by its long, shaggy coat. It has pointed ears and a short tail. And it has both the striped and the brown have more of a mane around its neck. So not like a lion, but thicker kind of hair around its neck. And this is a little bit bigger than the striped. It's going to be about 40 kilograms full grown. And then there's the aardwolf. And I'm going to let you fill me on the aardwolf.
It's one that it's like just
I didn't put this picture. I didn't put the picture up on it. I kind of
I mean, you look at the pictures of them, and I will definitely I will link them in the show notes. And these ones are from East Africa or Southwest Africa, and their populations are declining. But yeah, it's like I would say a hyena fox hybrid. If that's kind of how I would describe it. It kind of like looks like a fox in the face, and then has that hyena body. It's just really obscure looking. So they're, a smaller one than the spotted. Could be a species we'd cover in the future because, again, some of these like the civets and the aardwolf are just things that people aren't too familiar with. So So the 4, it's the spotted are least concerned but declining. The aardwolf's least concerned but declining. Striped, near threatened, and then what's the brown wolf?
So the brown is actually
brown wolf,
also
brown hyena.
The brown hyena. It's also known, interestingly enough. Well, you're not half wrong or half right because
that's true.
Yeah, it's also known as the strand wolf. Interestingly enough. Yeah, the strand wolf, because it really does kind of look like a wolf. It's the rarest of all hyenas, and its population is probably between 5,000 to 8,000 individuals with them, and it's also found in Africa. and more in like southern Africa, in Botswana, the Cape regions, and it's large. Its largest population is going to be actually in Botswana itself, with an estimated perhaps of 3,000 animals or so.
If I go to Africa, I think Botswana's like, I mean, I know I want to go to like Ngorongoro Crater and go to the Serengeti Plain and some of the cool places you've been. But Botswana, I mean, I know Botswana government has been doing amazing stuff for wildlife, but that is just like...
Yeah, I'd like to go to the Delta. That's kind of on my bucket list area. But no, there's definitely some good wildlife there, and a more stable government. But yeah, there's so many places, Chris. We really.
Oh, I know.
We need to meet there for a live podcast. Kenya. I have to go to Kenya. I have to go to Lewa to see my Grevy's zebra in Kenya. That's my next for sure on my bucket list. But you can have lots of things on. That's why it's a list, right? You can have a lot more than one.
So with you think about the hyena and I imagine they have some incredible ecological niche. So can we tell the listeners why they should really care about them?
Oh yes, you need to care about the hyena, whether you were initially attracted to them or not when you look at the pictures, because being one of the larger predators in Africa, in areas where ungulates like zebras and wildebeests are typically common, they are huge components of the ecosystem. They utilize almost every part of their prey, except for, I guess, they'll leave behind horns and rumen, which that kind of makes sense. The rumen is like the stomach chamber of like a cow-like species or of a hoofstock, certain types of hoofstock.
Cape buffalo,
buffalo, gazelle. So, they eliminate these carcasses and from the environment that can often be breeding grounds for parasites, diseases, and all that if they're left to decay on their own. So that's if they're gone, there's just going to be a lot more disease, most likely.
Well, and you think about,
and then that would hurt other animals,
right? And then we talked about the condors and nature's cleanup crew. So you have buzzards, and yes, you have that in Africa, but these things eat the bone, right? So we'll get to nutrition, but
right. Yeah, that's their niche. Is they are bone crunchers. They're very strong jaws, and we'll talk a lot more about that nutrition and exactly what they eat. But they really do. They do a lot of cleaning up, and then if they take down their own prey, once again they'll eat 99% of it. And I think it's from a scientific point of view, Chris. I think it's very fascinating that hyenas possess very unique immune systems that allow them to withstand diseases that often kill other animals. So it's once again kind of from a scientific human point of view, is if we can start to unravel how they do that and understand more about their immune systems, it could potentially benefit humans to, humans that either are immunocompromised or just in general if there's a breakout of disease. So from that point of view, it'd be sad to see them, be extinct or whatever, and we can't learn about how they do this.
Right.
And that was a similar thing I know we touched on with the California condor. The other thing, too, is that brown hyenas, that's the one that's the most endangered that lives in southern Africa. The pastoralist or farmers, I think it's a fancy word if you think of like a farmer, in southern Africa, they do feel that the hyenas, or more specifically the brown hyenas, can be a beneficial part of ecotourism. And that brings money and jobs in the region. And so the people that live by, the locals, the farmers in the area are starting to really take a hold of that, which is awesome. So I think that's will hopefully work in their benefit too.
No, I mean, again, we start putting all these pieces together, Angie. We've been talking about ocean health, and we've been talking about land health and the ecology and the food webs and the ecological niches, and it's just the health of the environment depends on so many pieces. 2 weeks ago, we were talking about wolves, red wolves, the reintroduction of timber wolves in Yellowstone. So, yeah, it's, I think we need to fight and protect as many of these species as we can.
Yeah, and the other thing too is they, as a large predator, they help regulate populations of certain types of hoofstock species, and there's it's very complex, and I think that they are a very integral part of the ecosystem, especially with their carrion eating and cleaning. They clean up the stuff that nobody wants. We all need a friend that will that you can offload stuff on. Where you're like, hey, this weird little like mouse holding cheese knickknack that my aunt gave me. Would you want this? We all need that friend that's like,
I think
sure,
I did that
I'll
when I
take
moved.
that.
I gave you guys a bunch of crap.
Yeah,
you're welcome.
Thanks. And I was gonna say, I'm not that friend. I'm the friend that will like be very. I'm the Midwestern girl that'll be like, sure, I'll take that, and then I drive it straight over to Salvation
Army.
Army.
Drop a lot out there. All right, so hyena.
No, but you left some wine.
Well,
you
yeah,
left some
something
decent
like I
stuff
said,
too,
you
so
can't
that
send
was
me
good.
food here, or I'll get kicked out of the country. Again, another thing I think is important to care is when I look at the evolution, and again, really quickly, it's just, these animals have taken millions and millions of years to get to where they are today. And just to wipe them out in the span of, even say 1,000 years, let's say over the next 1,000 years, that is like a drop in the bucket of geological time frame. It would be horrific.
Yes, you can't do that to the female spotted hyena. She has been evolving her very special reproductive anatomy and system for tens of thousands of years, which is very unique and very, very specialized. And bless her heart, like that, it would be very unfair to
Wipe them out.
for her to wipe her out, for her to go to extinct, because they found, in each one of these hyenas, they have evolved to find their own niche. Like the striped hyena. Okay, and the spotteds are bigger and stronger. We're going to head east. North and east. And so I just think the animals are so resilient. And of course, this is over, tens of thousands of years, if not longer. And for us to come in within 100, 200, 300 years, it's not, we can do better.
Right,
we owe them more than
that.
that.
And so they trace hyenas back 18 million years, and the first hyena species is Prototherium galliardia, and this,
Good job, yeah.
It looked like a civet or a genet, and I was like, I've heard of genets before, but I've never seen one. So
they're cute.
Yeah, they are cute. They kind of look again like almost a fossa, which again is another species we need to.
So was it smaller?
Yes,
Chris?
yeah, and they climb trees. So they had retractable claws, right? So these Filiformias, they have retractable claws. Now the hyenas don't, but they used to, right? So the earliest species.
Right.
Now these guys died out 4 million years ago. Ground-dwelling hyenas started around 10 million years ago. So the tree-dwelling ones died out, but there were still some ground-dwelling ones that were emerging, and they think spotted hyenas emerged about 6 million years ago, or late ancestors.
Wow.
So they've been around a long time. Now
a long time.
I did find the largest hyena ever. This is like my fun.
This is your jam.
It's so fun. Each week I'm like, oh my God, this thing lived. So, in the interest of time, because I usually like to play 20 questions with Angie on this, this was called the giant short-faced hyena, Pacryocuta. Died out about 400,000 years ago. So, if I like to wow you, like the rodent was enormous. This was...
Oh my God. That's so big.
know.
I'm still thinking about it.
This huge ton rodent. Not quite as big, Angie. These things were just a little bit bigger than spotted hyenas. So they stood about 39 inches at the shoulder, or 100 centimeters.
Okay.
So, a little bit over 3 feet. And only weighed about 250 pounds. So not as huge.
But
big.
That's still a lot of strength.
Oh,
though.
yeah. Like they would scare me. Now, a couple things on life cycle. The size of the spotted hyena, we didn't quite cover that yet. They can be almost 6 feet long, which is big, because Angie's talking about the second largest carnivore in Africa. They weigh up to 190 pounds or 86 kilograms. Now, Angie's new favorite, the females, are about 10% larger than males.
Female hyenas.
Their social behavior. I can't wait till we get to behavior, so that's why I want to get through this. Their social behavior is just incredible. Now, they can live for up to 25 years in the wild, so that's pretty good for a carnivore. Yeah.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah, most carnivores, well, you think about lions, like 10, 12 years is max.
Yeah, it's going to be a little bit less for the brown. The brown hyena is about 12 to 15
Okay,
years.
so they're, yeah.
But the striped hyena under human care is similar, about 24 years.
Yeah, that's pretty good for them. Now, really good eyesight, that.
Oh, of course. Keen eyesight, smelling.
Very good.
Hearing.
Yeah, very good hearing. So they really can pick up a lot. They have those big ears, to do that. Now, like we said, these are carnivores. They're hunters and scavengers. Very
carrion feeders.
Yeah, very broad diet like that. So you can imagine with the carrion, they eat antelope, young rhinos, or I'm sorry, Angie, young rhinos. Fish. I was like, fish? So they try to catch fish.
Yeah, seals.
Yeah,
sometimes.
Foxes, birds, rodents, other things. Now, when they do hunt in groups, they can take down bigger prey, so they may go after that.
Yes.
And then, like Angie said, they eat it all, the bones. So these are bone crunching. They chew it up. They eat the teeth. The teeth, like
they have one of the strong. Yeah, I know. I guess I never really thought about that. Yikes! But this bone, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, well, there's some good is it marrow, right? In the bone. That's probably pretty yummy and chewy.
Oh God! Like they eat it all. They eat it all.
Well, and Chris, I was reading too. This I don't know why I found this so fascinating. That of course they're a scavenger, but they, like you said, they can take down prey, especially if they're hunting in groups. But it's their kind of bizarre body structure actually enables them to run long distances, and sometimes, depending on the type of prey, they can run it into exhaustion.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, it's just really great hunters too, and a lot of people would always just think of them as scavengers, but it's not exactly accurate. There was a study in the Kalahari that found 70% of the diet was composed of direct kills. So, the clan can split up into hunting groups of 2 to 5 individuals, and that's when they can take down larger my zebras. But I'm sure probably a sick or an old zebra. Probably.
I know.
But because of that, there can be some conflict with as far as cattle and sheep and goat. So, there's a reason why they can sometimes have a bad rap and why people may not want them around, or like you had said in Ethiopia, why the certain locals believe to keep them happy and it will help them out.
Right.
There's a lot of things that researchers and wildlife officials and non-government organizations are trying to work on to help reduce some of this conflict. And
right.
I'll touch on that.
Yeah, and they, the human conflict, I did look into that a little bit, and it's just very rare. I mean, there's more animals in Africa that would attack you than a hyena.
Oh, yeah. No, the conflict is more the farmers are worried about them hunting their prey.
Right. Rather than them.
Not hunting their prey, hunting their
livestock.
The farmers are more worried about them hunting their livestock. And so, they're not really worried about them, hurting them. It's the livestock that they worry about. And but interestingly enough, the brown hyena, which also lives in Africa, studies have recently shown that they are pretty much fully scavengers, and their diet consists of carcasses of other predators, and then they're the ones that'll even eat insects, eggs, fruit, fungus. So a lot of groups and researchers are out there trying to really promote the species to the locals as like, okay, these guys for sure are not going to most likely touch your livestock. In fact, they actually may help, because if one of your livestock falls, dies in the middle of the field, the brown hyena will actually come and clean it up and help remove disease and parasites.
Right, yeah.
So, and some of the farmers are really starting to almost be like, "Oh, thank you, brown hyena." Like that's it's not quite that friendly yet.
Yeah.
But it's getting to be. They're starting to. But once again, that's the brown, and the brown's is smaller. The spotted still. It can definitely be known to take down a goat or a cow here and there. So trying to work with the locals on how to reduce that conflict, right? How they can live in harmony.
Yeah, and actually I read too, in Kenya and Tanzania, the Maasai leave their dead to be eaten by hyenas. So that's a way to
people?
Yes, they're dead.
What?
It's their tradition. Yes,
that.
I read that. I was like, all right. Yeah. So they are nature's cleanup crew.
Yeah, you'll have to send me that article. That's
okay.
that's actually just very fascinating to me.
Yeah. I read that. I was like, okay, that's one way to get rid of a carcass or a carcass of a body.
Yeah.
Not going to give anybody any ideas, but anyways.
Interesting. Yeah. Wow. I just love learning about different, not only about different animal cultures, or animal behavior, but people too. It's very, very interesting.
Yeah. And so, just to finish out, them eating, they have a bite force about 800 psi. So I know we said the croc's about 5,000, hippo's about 1,300. So they're
and what are we?
We're again? Like 200, 300.
Okay.
The mountain gorilla was like 1,200, if I remember off the top of my head.
Right. Yes. So interesting.
So it's huge. Very, very strong. Very, very strong. And I actually read too, when they hunt, if they can bite a leg of an antelope, they can actually just shatter it. It's so strong.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. So, and then it's game over.
Ouch.
And so that led me, going into behavior. Mm-hmm. There is a National Geographic, and it's easily a decade old, of lions and hyenas and conflicts. Mm-hmm. It's one of the most fascinating documentaries I've ever seen, and I will look to see if I can link that in the show notes because it is incredible. But lions have a healthy respect. They always have conflicts between the two since they're the largest predators in Africa. But lions respect them because their bite force is so strong. I mean, they could really hurt a lion pretty bad.
There's some tough cookies, man. Absolutely.
Yeah. So, it's just the whole, it's amazing. The clans, the matriarchs, the males are subservient. The behavior you're going to wow us. You're going to wow the listeners.
Well, I mean, it just really starts into my woman power session. Yeah. Hear us roar or hyena laugh. I mean, it's pretty cool. So spotted hyenas, they live in large groups, like Chris said, and they're called clans. And this can include up to 80 individuals, or less, of course, just depending on, those might be older numbers now. Their population's in decline. It might be, it might be down. But what's fascinating about the clans of the spotted hyena is that it is all about the ladies. The ladies are large and in charge. And every female in the group is dominant to any male.
Yeah.
So regardless,
the boys are they're
oh my God,
very,
the guy,
very end.
It's like, do we even really need them, right? But interestingly, and so the females, they're going to remain in their natal clan, so the group that they were born into for their entire life. Males will sometimes obviously go out and seek out other groups for different breeding rights, especially if they're a little bit lower. So this is called the matrilinear clan. So females dominant over males. Juvenile males will immigrate after puberty, typically, to join new clans. Especially if they were born into it, they don't want any inbreeding. And then the male in these new clans, their position will potentially increase over time. But these females, however, have stable linear dominance hierarchies. And the other really crazy thing, Chris, that I started to go into like the wormhole of studying, and we just have to get an expert hyena physiologist,
hopefully
biologist, behavioral, because this just blew my mind. So the female's rank is inherited from the mother. Mm-hmm. So these hierarchies remain stable for many generations. Mm-hmm. So we just watched Meghan Markle, is it? Marry Prince Harry? Harry.
Henry. Yeah. Harry. It was a big thing in New Zealand here too.
And of course, being in the U.S., we're privy to the culture there about the king and the queen. Mm-hmm. But we always, until somebody gets married or there's a big event, I kind of forget about it, or I'm always fascinated to see the lines of who's the number. Right. Once this one goes, who's the next in line? And it's really interesting how it's always like the firstborn son. So basically, Harry is like I mean, like 10.
6.
Yeah, he's like way down in
Yeah.
line. And then the more kids that his brother keeps having, he just keeps getting pushed down.
Yeah, lower.
So, anyways, it was just very fascinating. But once again, the royal family, you're born into it. And to me, that's just such an archaic, interesting, fascinating.
It is, but we love the royals. I'll just jump in. The Queen's birthday's in a couple weeks.
We do love the royals.
We have a holiday here.
Oh my gosh, and like are on Game of Thrones. Oh my gosh, right? But it's so fascinating. Like you're born into it.
It is.
And
It is,
I don't know how often we see something. You see some born into it type things with animal behavior, but this is awesome because this is like females. So it's like the female is born into the and well, Chris, I'm not the only one that's fascinated by this, and diving into the research, just to touch on the surface of it, Dr. Holkamp out of Michigan State University, go green, go white, my old alma mater.
There you
they, of course, are looking into a lot of the biology and behavior and conservation of the spotted hyena. And what they discovered is that in the final weeks of pregnancy, high-ranking females will produce a flood of testosterone and other related hormones. And they believe that these chemicals saturate the developing cubs, both the males and the females, right? But it does make them more aggressive. And so they're pretty much born with a drive to dominate. So it's just a really... It's almost like hormones versus genetics, right?
Yeah, it adds. Plus, it adds nature versus nurture, right? So
sure.
There's a supporting argument for nature, meaning you are born, and it go back and forth. Like I said, this is a huge argument in science. I mean, me and Ashley have had lots of fun talking about this back and forth. Nature versus nurture. So nature, again.
Yeah, especially with your kids. You're like, that's not my genes. They learned that from you.
We do that all the time. Oh, my God. But it's so true. They are born the way they are because my eldest is so much like me. He's thin-skinned. I'm thick-skinned, but, he's soft-hearted, I guess is a good way to put it. The second one, man, he is all her. He is just devious and super intelligent and just everything bounces off him. I'm like, oh my God, that is so you. I mean, I see it in your boys.
I know. So which one do you think is me and which one is John?
So I definitely think Zach is you.
Okay, that's what John would say. Like John's like, oh, we are in big trouble with that one.
Yeah, and he's like
Andy,
a year and a half.
I was say Andy has the hair, so it's gonna be like ridiculous.
When I watch him, and he's like you, he thinks. And he's like, am I going to get away with this? And then he does it. Rules are made to be broken, man. Yeah, that's him.
And then Xander's all about the rules, just like John.
It's all daddy. Yep, it's all daddy. Yep. So nature. So, that's crazy.
But there's a lot of nurture you can do. Like, I'm teaching Xander to break rules, just like John is teaching Zachary to mind the rules. So that's,
it's a mix. It's a mix.
It is.
That's
really
my final assessment. It's a mix. It's both.
But with these... But getting back to the hyena, because our family clans are super interesting too. But the females in general have higher levels of testosterone than males. So that also helps them keep their dominance in general over all the males. Another interesting behavior that I found with the spotted hyenas, if you're in the car listening to this, you can appreciate this. If you're a commuter for your job, that spotted hyenas are often considered commuters. They make frequent long-distance foraging trips to an ungulate herd, to like a hoofstock herd, to hunt. And it's basically a commuting system. And it basically allows the spotted hyena to live at a much higher population density than what their own clan territory could tolerate. So they obviously get benefits of living in this clan together, but they need to do some extreme commuting to be able to feed themselves. What also I think a lot of listeners, including myself, will be blown away by is how intelligent hyenas are that we know of. Okay, we're at the very carnivores in general are, they're intelligent. They have to hunt. They have to work sometimes in groups to hunt. So we know this about them. But Chris, are you ready for this? All right, is your seatbelt on?
Yeah, so I would guess hyenas aren't very high. comparatively. So yeah, let me blow me away. Let's see.
Okay, so some are considered, or some aspects of their intelligence are considered as smart as primates, and not necessarily smarter than chimps, but similar in ways such that a study done out of Duke University in 2009 showed that a captive pair of spotted hyenas performed better problem solving and social cooperation skills than chimpanzees.
Wow.
Yes, and what's even more, and so even more amazing than that, during the study, the hyenas solved all the problems in silence. And they only use nonverbal signals for communication. That obviously researchers are still decoding what this means.
Right.
And I'll send you the link on the show notes because it's a really cool cooperation test where the two animals have to work together to get food. And I know they do it with bonobos and chimps and of course those guys can do it, but they're basically saying at these certain tasks, the hyenas are doing it just as well, if not better, than a chimpanzee.
Wow.
Than us. That's us.
Wow.
We're 98% chimpanzees.
Yeah. How much do we cooperate? I still contest the honey badger. Stoffel is a brilliant scientist in the honey badger community, but his escapability. But yeah, I would have never guessed. Hyenas were that intelligent. Never. In a million years.
And that's another reason to bode for their conservation. The fact that I think there's so much more we have to learn about them and from them, and so
that's crazy. Hyenas and dolphins taking over the world.
Seriously, yeah. Let alone their awesome women power.
Go
hyenas. Go team hyenas. And then of course, Chris, their vocalizations, which we opened with. We opened with a hyena vocalization, but these guys have a rich vocal repertoire. They can emit many distinct sounds. Some of them are modified depending on who their meaning and what it means to the listeners. They've got groans and squeaks and squeals. When they greet each other, they have a whoop. They have, when they kill something, they of course have yells and growls. And then the spotted hyenas have that laughter giggle vocalization, which sounds like a hysterical human.
Yeah.
But they're not necessarily, scientists don't think that they're laughing the same way we laughed. They think that the pitch and the note frequency or the tone of the hyena's laughter will give its indication of its age and social status.
Okay.
So, yeah.
No, that's interesting. I mean, you always wonder what the hyena's laugh is all about. So they're just kind of vocalizing where they are in their clan hierarchy.
Sure. And I think, and once again, hopefully we'll get an expert on here that can either reinforce that idea or tell if there's other hypotheses out there. But so
they're amazing. Another amazing species as always. Oh, they're really cool.
But this is just a tip of the hyena amazing iceberg.
I know.
So basically their breeding system is that they're highly polygynous and their mating is aseasonal, so they'll breed any time of year. And once again, go female hyena power. The females, of course, are more dominant, so the breeding is completely up to them. They say when and where. Of course, I'm sure has to do with their estrus cycle, but still, that there is, it's completely up to them. And
those males
and that's the thing is I know, and I don't want to male bash. I'm not a male basher. I live with a whole.
I think in the hyena episode, it is okay to male bash because
you
really understand these animals, the males are important, but they are so at the end of the pecking order in hyena society. It's incredible.
I do agree with that, but I love my males out there. So I do want the male listeners out there, hopefully if you are still listening, there are a few tips that you can learn from male hyenas.
I gotta write this book.
Yeah, grab your pencil, write it down. Ashley will thank me later. So just briefly, the spotted hyena, the male will perform a bowing display before mating the female. So he lowers his muzzle to the ground. He kind of comes towards her. He bows again, paws at the ground, might bow again, and basically will then the female will either be nice to him or mean to him. So, but yeah, I mean, I'm just saying, I feel like a little bowing here or there could go a long way.
All right. I will in private report back to you, see how well that works.
Yes.
Submissive behavior.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then now another thing too, which you already do this, and but for a lot of guys out there, this is not the spotted hyena, but in the brown hyena, the fathers and the males will bring food for the pups less frequently than moms sometimes. And they also protect the pups from the lions. So it's good to cook dinner for your family and whenever you get a chance. That's what the browns do. The spotteds don't do that. The males aren't quite, they're a little bit more deadbeat, just to put it nicely.
Yeah, and last night I did make a wonderful pad thai. So
ooh, you have to send me the recipe.
It wasn't pizza. Yeah, it wasn't pizza. It was really delicious.
Was it chicken pad thai or veggie?
No, it's pork mince, mince
okay.
meat. You know, it's good though. It's such a great recipe.
Interesting.
It's one of our favorites.
Okay.
Hoisin sauce. The secret's hoisin sauce and sesame oil.
Awesome.
So there you go for all the listeners out there.
See,
it's
everybody's
delicious.
Learning today. Anything,
yeah,
but this is where it gets fun. So. I am going to ask all the listeners that do have this on in their office to maybe put headphones on.
Like your friend.
Oh my gosh, my poor friend Cecilia. Oh yeah.
Wales.
Yes, I was.
Yes, this is. It's going to get a little PG-13,
well,
but we are using anatomically correct terms. It's just more of the female genitalia this time. So just here's your warning. You can fast forward 10 minutes if you have young ones that you want to cut theirs, but it is biology, so that's what we love talking about.
The spotted hyena has very unique reproductive organs, especially compared to the other hyenas, the browns, the stripes, and is it the aardwolf?
Aardwolf, yep.
So basically, the spotted hyenas have a masculine phenotype, so their outer parts, the way that they look like, and they're the only female mammals that actually lack an external vaginal opening. So they do have a vagina, it's just not on the outside, it's more internal.
Right.
And what makes them very interesting is that female spotted hyenas are almost indistinguishable from those of males. That basically the clitoris, the tissue that makes up the clitoris, is enlarged and long and can grow up to 7 inches outside of the body. That basically makes it look like a penis.
Right.
It's also capable of an erection, and from here on out, I'll call it a pseudopenis. I think that has a little bit better ring to it than long clitoris. That's just me.
Yeah, and you know, it is, and it's, you know, the biology, just really quick, because a lot of my exercise stress work, I looked into a lot of the research, and most of it's done in humans. So women that actually take steroids in weightlifting and stuff, they actually, it's been documented that their clitoris will get longer and almost look like a small penis because of the testosterone.
Okay.
Yeah. So when you talked about the rush of testosterone that they get, this very masculine, they have higher testosterone than the males, then it makes sense. Because when you go back to early bubiology, as we develop in utero, you know, we all kind of look the same. We all start
off as females.
Right, and then the males will develop a penis and scrotum and testicles, whereas the female develops, the vagina and the clitoris. So the clitoris is actually like the default organ that eventually becomes the penis in males. So that's the biology behind it. But yeah, it's fascinating. Sorry, I just wanted to give the backstory on the bio.
Yeah, but oh no, the spotted hyena doesn't stop there with her anatomy. She owns it. She owns it. She also has a pair of sacs in the genital region that are filled with fibrous tissue. And
that is crazy.
They almost look like a scrotum, but they're covered, of course, with more hair. And there's a story I ran into where this was years ago, but and I don't know if it was in the U.S. or in Europe or in Africa, but these spotted hyenas that were living under human care, they kept trying to breed them, and then they finally realized that they were like two males,
two females,
or two males, two females. Yeah, one or the other. They were finally like, oh, okay.
Why can't they breed? Oh, yeah. Okay.
But that's like how similar they look, right? And so it's pretty cool. And the other thing too that we really one that I touched on in the beginning of the podcast of why the spotted hyena female is my new hero is because they have this elongated pseudopenis and they don't have an external vagina. So therefore they must urinate, mate, and deliver their young through the urogenital canal, basically that exits through the pseudopenis.
Oh.
No.
Oh.
I'm not done yet.
Oh.
No.
Oh, my legs are crossing.
I know these poor girls, but they're amazing. They are rock stars. Okay, so because I know, Lord knows, I complained during childbirth. Both of my attempts at it, they were long, and it was.
Yeah, you poor thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it was not necessarily fun. But these guys, these females, they, during birth, the pseudopenis will have to actually rupture a little bit to allow the young to pass through. And and it's actually
wow.
Researchers believe that about, sadly, 60% of the cubs born to a first-time mom might actually even suffocate on the way out if they can't get out of fast enough. Because obviously it's like a longer, it's a longer canal. Sadly, about 60% of the cubs will actually suffocate on the way out for first-time moms. So, that's really sad. But the one thing is that the wound of the pseudopenis, the way it tears a little bit, might take a couple weeks to heal. But it does make it easier for the next time she gives births. And then less of the cubs will pass away. More of the cubs will make it. So
it's just tough animals. Just tough animals.
Female spotted hyenas are incredible. They have one of the highest maternal investments of any other carnivore. They nurse their young up to anywhere from 14 to 18 months. Okay.
Wow. When
these juveniles, Chris, have teeth, their teeth have erupted.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah,
ouch. Any mama out there,
Yeah.
forget about it, right?
Yeah.
Nope. Spotted hyena, she's tough cookie. She keeps nursing them. So the researchers hypothesized that since hyena mothers care for their cubs for 3 to 4 years, so much longer than many other predators, that these cubs, if they were by themselves, they could not compete for food at these kill sites. So that puts the pressure on the females to give their cubs more time, or their juveniles, at these carcasses. So females had to become bigger and meaner, and Dr. Holkamp thinks that they achieved this basically by masculizing, by having this flood of testosterone. And then the female dominance helps them basically for the sake of feeding their pups. So it's like the ultimate sacrifice, right? These spotted female, they think that, it's like, I'll grow a pseudopenis to help protect my cubs and be tough. Talk about
body modification.
I was going to talk about Mother of the Year. Holy macaroni, right? So, yeah.
No, and just think about how tough Africa is. It is, the wild's tough, in Florida, the wild's tough. God, mosquitoes drive you crazy. But Africa is just so gnarly.
Oh, so gnarly. Yeah.
And they're not the apex predators, but they're competing with the apex predators.
Sure.
So here you have, I know I love to say honey badgers are the toughest, most tenacious. Oh my God, I think hyenas are supplanting them. They are freaking tough.
Yeah. So, and the truth be told, I don't know. We'll have to get a researcher in here to confirm it, but I don't believe researchers know 100% why the female developed a pseudopenis, because it does seem like it is taxing for many other reasons. Hopefully we'll come up with an answer in the near future. But in the meantime, it's just really cool reproductive anatomy, and they are Man, I don't know. I know the lion's the king of the jungle, Chris, but I'm gonna go out on a limb and say the spotted hyena is the queen of the jungle. Like
Yes. Oh,
or not
absolutely.
the jungle, but the savannah,
Absolutely.
obviously, because we're in Africa. But you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, she deserves hats off to you, female hyenas out there, and mothers of the year. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. No, it's so funny. It's like, back-to-back episodes on maternal. We had eusociality with the Nick and mole rats, and now the hyena's the matriarch, And I know elephants. Give my elephant shout out. There we go. They're very female driven, but not the male elephants are still bigger, stronger, meaner, but.
And, and Chris, obviously in science, researchers are always, they have a hypothesis. They're just not thinking like, oh, well, this happens probably because of this. Mm-hmm. In an attempt to try to figure out this darn pseudopenis, researchers, they basically wanted to see if it was those hormones that the females are exposed to in the womb, if that's what's doing it. Because in other mammals, testosterone-related hormones, like you said, can masculinize a female's genitalia. But so when researchers out of Berkeley fed pregnant hyenas drugs that blocked the effects of testosterone and other related hormones, the females' cubs were still born with pseudopenises. So, so obviously the testosterone has a lot to do with it, but it's not the only player in the game, which is just, once again, unfortunately, it makes the plot thicken even more, right?
Right. That's some underlying genetic mechanism or something. Yeah, no, it's the biology of all these different species. It's just, they're all different.
I know. I don't know, Chris. I'm really actually sad to leave the hyena next week to move on to our next species. Like as a little side hobby, I'm definitely not done with it. And hopefully maybe I can talk to these researchers from Michigan State, because there's a few answers out there that I've been able to find, diving a little bit into literature, but I don't know, man. They're so cool. We need to get a specialist on here, because there's so much more
I know.
about these critters
I agree.
that you and I are skipping for lack of time and lack of perhaps knowledge. So this is, I don't know if this is one of my favorites so far, but man, I have more questions than answers my own self.
They're amazing. It's cool. They're really, I'm glad we did them. I really am. They are really cool. And no, I really hope we can get somebody in here, and I know you're working hard to do that. I know they're classified as least concern, but you did say the population is declining. So what are some of their threats that are affecting them? Sure,
Chris. I think one of the biggest ones is persecution, especially by poisoning from humans. So that falls in the human-wildlife conflict. Them being misunderstood, especially like the brown hyena, that farmers think that it kills their livestock when in fact studies have shown that it doesn't. And then of course with the spotted, which potentially might go after livestock, I think if they have their own habitat to roam in and healthy food from wild animals that they can get on their own, that they're happy to stay away from the farmers as well. So I think that there's people that are working on how to help solve this conflict, and perhaps educating a lot of the locals on the benefits of the hyena in its habitat, not only from an ecosystem point of view, but also from an economical point of view. But other than that, too, the spotted hyena and other hyenas are starting to have a decreased source in carrion due to the decline in populations of other large carnivores like cheetahs and leopards and lions. And so that might also, with less carrion, that might drive them to seek out live prey. So it's, once again, it's this whole dynamic of when you take out one or two, it trickles down, right?
Yeah, the food web. You start breaking apart that food web.
Spotted hyenas are found all over sub-Saharan Africa, but because of people and growing cities, it's and they clearly need a lot of area to roam if they're in these large clans. So
right, and like you said, like in South Africa, there's no wild. There's just all these managed game parks, and that's becoming very more common across Africa.
Yeah, and sometimes people put out snares for them, and so they're not out of the woods. That's the unfortunate truth. So
well, in that spirit, what are some organizations that you targeted this week?
Sure. Well, my first organization, you actually already touched on early in the podcast about your bucket list dream Africa place would be in Botswana. So maybe if and when you go there, it's on your bucket list for you and Ashley and the kids. You can check out the Botswana Predator Conservation Trust. They can be found at www.b as in boy, p as in panda, c as in cat, trust.org. They also have a really nice Facebook page. And the Botswana Predator Conservation Trust promotes wildlife conservation and conflict management and also education. And they research carnivores such as lions, African wild dogs, cheetah, and of course the spotted hyena. Yay!
Yay.
Mm-hmm. And so they, interestingly enough, you should check out their webpage, bpctrust.org. They go into all very explicit details about the research that they do. In fact, they even, I love it, because we never really did this too much at my university, but they have her name. So her name is Jessica.
Yeah.
She's the one doing the research right now, currently through helping supported to with the Botswana Predator Conservation Trust. Jessica's studying the hyenas and using remote data collection, behavior observations, my favorite, and acoustic and olfactory experiments. And she wants to look at these historic hyena populations and try to understand a little bit more about their characteristics of the clans and their the number of them, the size, the territory, and overall.
Right. Oh,
and
God.
basically,
How fun would that be?
yeah, I'm like, why am I like? I need sign me up for a postdoc. Yeah, she's studying all this social dynamic of each clan too. So I mean, I always want to say too in these podcasts, I think sometimes we, or me especially, these are general behavior things, and researchers are the select few that get to do this stuff that can find money for it, get to really dive deep and learn more. So maybe with Jessica, we'll understand more about them. And for my second organization, I shifted gears a little bit to focus on the brown hyena. That's the one that's found in like southern Africa. And this group is called the Brown Hyena Research Project. And they can be found at Strandwolf. So that's the other name of the brown hyena. Yeah, strandwolf.org. They have a great Facebook presence page too. The big aim of the project is to intensely investigate the effects of the dining and mining activities on brown hyena populations in the southern coastal Namibia desert. Or maybe it's not Namibia, it's Namib desert. But anyways, these results will hopefully increase the knowledge about the behavior, the population ecology of the brown hyenas and this unique ecosystem. Then that way, too, once they understand more about the population ecology, they can implement better management strategies to help conserve the brown hyena in this really like unique habitat that's not in its normal range for the most part. I just think that groups like this that don't get a lot of recognition because they're not, a major conservation group in Africa, they're a very specialist niche. I really hope that you guys will, all the listeners out there will go and at least check their page out and maybe like them on Facebook. Show them your support, and you can learn a lot more too about the detailed research that they do, and just or even send them a message, tell them that you appreciate the work they do, because I've only been, the longest I've ever been in Africa is a month, and during that month I was out in the field for about 2 weeks, and that alone was, it was taxing. I'm not going to even lie. And I had a tent and everything, and I was collecting data, and it was awesome. Oh my God, the sounds at nighttime were just amazing and scary all at once. Yeah. I know. But these researchers are living, in the bush for long periods of time, collecting this data and just really, really conservation heroes working hard for these animals and trying to learn more about how they live, because they're scientists, and these groups support the scientists because they know that science is our way out. Making guesses or, in the dark, it's not going to be how.
Yeah, it goes back to the guy in Angola who says the elephants are causing desertification, so they slaughter 40,000 elephants, and it speeds up. Making it just horrific decisions inaccurate and without the data, right?
Without the scientific data, exactly. Yeah. And that's the thing, is it's like, what if these researchers find that, oh my goodness, well, the brown hyena doesn't need as much land. And then, great, that's awesome. Okay, then we can implement this smaller protected area or whatever it is. Or they can implement, hey, the brown hyena, they don't kill your livestock. So they actually, they help eat the ones that are already dead on the ground. They take away anthrax from zebras and rabies from other rabid animals. So, that's what these groups are out there doing. And I just really...
Right. It's just education too.
Yeah, absolutely.
You told us about, going back to bats and how bats save farmers in the U.S. $4 billion a year.
Right. Crazy.
Pesticide,
yeah.
right?
And that's the thing too. I really believe if there was more money invested in conservation research, we would be a lot more effective in our conservation strategies of these animals. But as we know, unfortunately, and it gets less and less each year, it's just really hard to fund some of these projects.
Stuff,
that's why, like I said, check out the Brown Hyena Research Group and also the Botswana Predator Conservation Trust.
Those are good ones.
Two really good groups looking out for the hyenas, and I think you'll enjoy learning in more detail about what they're doing.
All right, just to finalize everything, conservation tip of the week. We're still working towards carbon neutral lives, and this is a strategy that everybody can do, and it's pretty easy, is just wherever you live, go around at night and just count how many lights are on in the house on a average night. Hallways, bathrooms, kitchen, all that stuff. And ask yourself, does that light need to be on? And if not, switch it off. And you do that.
Yeah.
It becomes second nature.
I know. I think it's 9 times out of 10, I'm like, that light is not going to be on.
And turn it off. Save energy. So, I do it. Like last night I go out and I'm like, why are so many lights on? There's you only need a light on with the TV room. Leave a light on in front of the house to say, hey, I'm home. But the rest can be shut off. And teach your kids that, again, developing healthy habits.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No, I think that's the thing is they mimic you and you can encourage them and you can make it a fun game.
Yeah.
So
count the lights.
Yeah.
A quarter for every light you turn off.
Lights. Yes, just minimize it, definitely. And your utility bill will thank you for it, trust me.
Yeah. All right, just for us, if you subscribe, rate, and review. If you have not, go to iTunes, write a review.
Yeah, if you are new... This is Chris always does this. I always kind of just let him. He's
blah blah blah.
Yeah. I'm basically at this point, napping. No, just kidding. But no. I really, for me, I would really appreciate some more some more feedback.
Right.
Be it especially on iTunes, but even on Facebook, our Facebook page. That really helps us understand. It points us in the right direction if we're doing things right, or. I guess we're doing things wrong, maybe just send us a message.
Yeah. Please don't review us, but thumbs down. Just send a message to me and Angie. But we appreciate it. The messages we have been getting have been awesome.
Oh no, like I said, they mean so much. So even if you send an email or a Facebook message to some of these, like the Brown Hyena researchers or
me and Jonathan are having a wildlife off each weekend now. I just started it last weekend. Yeah. So anybody else wants to chime in, post your pictures of wildlife on our Facebook page or on Instagram or anything.
But it feels good to have that community. Yeah, it feels good to have that community. So whenever whenever we get a little message or something, it literally lights up my whole day.
Yeah, it makes this worth it. Makes this all worth it. So, all right, Angie, have a wonderful week. I'm excited for next week too. Yeah,
I know.
Another new species. Yeah.
Yes. All right, it's gonna be hard saying goodbye to the hyena. So I'm gonna say until next time, hyena. We will see you again for sure.
Yes, for sure. All right, take care.
Okay, bye-bye.
Listen, learn, share. Join the movement at allcreaturespod.com.